All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Dylan. I work for the Office of Orientation and Transition Programs. And today you are here for your SEALF information sessions on building experience at SBU with Study Abroad. So in just a couple minutes here, we will be having a presentation from the Study Abroad office and some of our wonderful colleagues here at Stony Brook. So if you have any questions at any time, just recognize that today we are in a Zoom webinar, which is a little bit different than a Zoom meeting traditionally that you may be familiar with. If you do have questions at any time, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section on the bottom bar of your Zoom. You can submit those at any time, and we will answer them throughout the session or at the end, depending on what kind of questions you have. But with that in mind, I will pass it over to our colleagues from Study Abroad to tell you a little bit more about their programs.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dylan. So yes, hi everyone. My name is Margaret Hartofflis, and I'm an International Programs Coordinator here in the Study Abroad office, and I'm accompanied by my colleague Emily, who will be helping answer any questions that we may have. And yes, we're so happy to share all the study abroad and study away, which I'll get into in a moment, because students also have the ability to study within the United States at their time here at Stony Brook. So I'm just going to share my screen and dive into it. Okay, great. So before we begin, I'm going to share a video that highlights the various different study abroad experiences that our students have had. And it's actually really great because one of the students in the video studied abroad 5 times. Sometimes we have questions from students asking, how many times can I study abroad? And I love being asked that question. And we love making that experience happening for students. Actually, you know what? Let me just reshare because I forgot to share audio. Let's try this again.
I don't know if other people can. I can't see your screen at this point. I see your desktop.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, looks like we'll be all good.
And now what about when the video's maximized? Do you
Yep,
still
I can
see
see
it?
the video. Just hit
All
pause
right.
and hear the audio.
Thanks.
Okay.
I knew that I would always want to study abroad in Italy, and so once I found out that Stony Brook has a program in Florence, I knew that it was a perfect fit for me.
But after orientation, after I made friends, after all that, I just started going out more. I started seeing the city, seeing what Seoul had to offer, and it was just a lot of fun for me.
My first time stepping foot in Tanzania was so breathtaking. I was actually able to encapsulate that moment through journals. And what I actually wrote the first time was that the grass was much greener, the sky was much bluer, and the air was much cleaner when I first got there.
As an engineering major, I was able to work with my advisors and go study abroad, have a great experience, and still be on track for graduation.
In Peru, I went whitewater rafting. In Spain, I was able to take cooking classes. In China, I visited the Great Wall. I took a harbor tour of Shanghai. I saw the terracotta warriors. The list just goes on and on of the fantastic experiences I had while abroad.
Being able to go to Mount Kilimanjaro and just climb a mountain for the first time, and seeing how completely different it was from anything I can imagine.
On the Jamaica study abroad, learning in the environment where you're picking up the specimens and you're looking at the coral and the fish firsthand with your professor who's a professional in this field totally exceeds sitting in the classroom flipping through a textbook and only imagining what they look like in real life. So that was just a really special experience that just enhances it tenfold.
Some of the things I gained from studying abroad was a higher level of confidence, independence, and responsibility that I feel I could have only gained by studying abroad. Not to mention the fact that my Italian speaking skills and language skills were also increased.
It's something that you could read about or hear about in orientation, read about your itinerary and see what you're gonna do. But once you get there, it's nothing that your mind can fathom completely.
academically. It really put me in a position to have amazing things to put on applications for grad school, transcripts, and really amazing people to reach out to if I needed a letter of recommendation as well.
During my first day of orientation, I was like, I need to make a friend here. I need to force myself out of my comfort zone, and that's what the study abroad program really pushed me to do. When I got back, I couldn't stop talking about it. I made a lot of new friends that I still text today, and it just made me see the world in a different way. Stony Brook really prepared me for my study abroad experience, and when I went to Korea, the partner university there gave me even more orientations where they taught me about the mannerisms in Korea and who to call for emergencies, and just acclimated me to the new environment.
When you weigh the costs of tuition for the credits that you're taking and accommodations and traveling, it is the most economical option for going out in the world and experiencing a new culture and a new place. It's an amazing value, and you'll be happy that you invested in it.
I worked closely with the financial aid office to help develop a plan to fit my financial aid needs.
Studying abroad was probably one of the cheapest semesters at Stony Brook. All my financial aid counted towards the program, and I was a recipient of the IAP Study Abroad Scholarship.
I recommend studying abroad because it's a fantastic opportunity that you can really only have in college, that carries with it so many fantastic benefits, so why let it pass you by?
Once you're on a plane, you're thinking about everything that you learned in orientation and everything that you're going to do. Once you actually physically get there, it's going to blow your mind.
I recommend study abroad to everybody. If you talk to anybody who's done study abroad, you will not find a single person that says they don't want to go on another one or they wish they didn't do it.
Well, I just feel like study abroad is for that person that just wants the best for themselves. And I think that, it's one of the best things I definitely did as a student, and then as a person too. It's something that you can't really put into words. It's something that you have to experience for yourself.
Okay, great. So, yes, I love to share that video because it just gives students firsthand perspective of what it's like to study abroad. Sometimes I have students who, or even faculty and staff who visit the office and they say that they regret not taking advantage of a study abroad opportunity, but we've never had a student come back from one of our programs saying that they, of course, regret participating. So I always encourage students to think about why study away. So I'm going to use the term study away because it encompasses studying abroad and national student exchange. So that's, again, the ability for students to study within the United States, which I'll dive into more in a moment. So of course, there's personal growth. When students choose to study away, they are forced to step outside their comfort zone, and that's a really great thing. There is growth in discomfort. Students are put into various different scenarios in which they can expand and develop their leadership, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, language skills, cross-cultural competency skills. I mean, the list really goes on. And of course, there's also professional expansion and academic discovery. All of our programs, whether it be study abroad or national student exchange, and I'll refer to that as NSE for short, students can take courses within their major and or their minor, and they're able to see how their career or future career could be implemented in other places. So for instance, we may have students who are economics majors and they want to see how markets operate in London. That's just a great opportunity to learn more about how their specialization may be working in other places and give them different perspectives. And we also have academic discovery. So we've had students who go abroad with one major, and as a result of their study abroad experience, they actually decided to change their career path. So, for instance, we had a student who was a math major and she was studying abroad in Tanzania. And on that program, there's sometimes shadowing in a hospital, and there's community involvement, and there's projects that involve the community too. So the student actually decided to change her major to nursing, and she's actually since graduated, and she's a nurse at a local Long Island hospital, all because of what her study abroad program exposed her to. Sometimes our students don't really realize what maybe their true passions are until they participate on a study abroad program and see how things work in other places. And like I said before, all of our programs are bearing. So regardless of your major, it doesn't matter if you're STEM, if you're in the humanities or social sciences, our programs provide degree credits. And whether it be for your major, minor, or SBCs, so those are general education requirements, students are indeed able to make degree progress on our programs. And even through study abroad and NSE, just by going on that program, students are able to satisfy their degree requirements, just not even including the classes that they're going to take. And it's also a great opportunity to explore graduate programs and locations. Sometimes, for instance, we may have a student who's interested in going to vet school in Michigan, but they don't know if Michigan is a good fit for them. So something like NSC is a great opportunity for students to stay there for the semester to determine if they would like to live there for the X amount of years it may take to go to graduate school or whatever it may be. So now I'm going to dive into studying abroad. So here are the various different locations in which we have programs. So as you can see, we have programs all across the world in over 35 or so countries. We likely have a program in a location in which you're interested in. And what's really great is you are all SUNY students, so State University of New York students. There are 64 SUNY campuses, and students have the ability to actually study abroad at many of the other SUNY school programs as well. So, for instance, if you see that you would like to go to Iceland, but you notice that we don't have a program in Iceland, that's no problem. If another SUNY school does and they're accepting other SUNY students, then you may be eligible to participate on their program too. So it really opens the doors to other locations as well. So here's the different study abroad program types that we have. So we have partner university programs. These are partnerships that we have with schools across the globe, many of which are globally ranked in the top 100 schools in the world. So students will study on that partner university school's campus, and they'll be an exchange students. And these occur during all throughout the academic year, so winter, spring, summer, and fall. And there's also faculty-led programs. So that's when a Stony Brook student goes abroad with a Stony Brook University faculty member, and they're taught in an international classroom. So those typically occur during the winter and the summer terms. Winter is about 3 weeks. Summer could be upward for 2 weeks, upwards of a month for those faculty-led programs. And those occur everywhere. I mean, Greece, Korea, China, Singapore, and amongst so many other, Tanzania, I mentioned before, so many other locations as well. And then we also have the Center of Albio and the Turkana Basin Institute. And those do have summer and winter course offerings, but there's also semester faculty-led programs as well at those locations in Madagascar and Kenya. So students enroll in a Stony Brook University course on those faculty-led programs. And again, they're taught by a Stony Brook University professor in an overseas classroom. And there's also hands-on learning opportunities. So we have opportunities for students to participate in internships and experiential learning opportunities. So that could be, for instance, research in Jamaica or Hong Kong, or maybe even experiential learning opportunities as maybe a public relations topic, or maybe it's like an art gallery curator in Italy. There's a lot of different opportunities for students to gain those hands-on experiences to enhance their professional and academic portfolios. So languages and study abroad, this is a very common topic and question that we get asked. Students are not necessarily required to be fluent in a language other than English to participate in many of our study abroad programs. And that's because most of our study abroad programs have course offerings in English. There are select a few programs in which students have to be fluent in that host country's language. And if a student isn't sure, they can just check out our websites, and each respective page indicates what course of instruction that program is in. It's also important to note English is widely used around the world. However, we would encourage our students, if they're going to a country in which language is not the first language, to just have a very foundational understanding of that language. And what's really great is a lot of our programs that are taught in other countries in which language isn't the host country's language, English isn't the host country's language, is that's a good opportunity for students to take courses in that language. So many students, depending on their major, they have to have 2 semesters of a language. This is a great opportunity to be able to satisfy that requirement. And take those courses. And what better way than to learn Italian, for instance, in Italy? You're able to apply it when you're walking the streets, asking for directions, ordering a coffee, and things like that. And for those select few programs in which English is not the primary course of instruction, language of instruction, students would be asked to provide a language reference. So, for instance, some of our programs in Japan and some in France may be required to, students may be required to know Japanese and French respectively. So we would just ask for a professor, for instance, to be able to attest to the students' language abilities. So STEM and studying abroad, this is another common question, and many of you may be STEM majors. So we do indeed have opportunities for students in the STEM field to study abroad. We have faculty-led programs in which there are STEM courses. I mentioned Tanzania before. A lot of students that are pre-health, pre-med, pre-dentistry, pre-vet do go on that program because again, there is shadowing in a hospital and other opportunities for students to get that STEM expertise. Madagascar, India, they do like energy conservation, and Madagascar has a lot to do with human evolution. So those are some options for students. And then partner universities. So these are the schools I mentioned previously in which we have partnerships with, many of which are like Stony Brook in the sense that they have a wide variety of course offerings. So similar to Stony Brook, you can go to American University in Cairo and you could take a science course, a math course, an English literature course, because maybe that's something you have interest in, or maybe it's something required for your major. Um, so you can make a well-rounded schedule and still study abroad. Same thing for England, Scotland, Spain, Hong Kong, South Korea. And these are just a few of many of our programs in which students can make a well-rounded schedule, study abroad for the entire semester, earn at least 12 credits, and still be able to stay on track and make degree progress while abroad. And then just some items for STEM students to consider is that it's in many cases better for students to study abroad sooner rather than later. And that's because as students progress in their major, they have more intricate courses that are unique to their major. So if they wait until their senior year, it may be difficult to get that very unique upper division bio lab course when they're abroad. It'll likely be easier to go abroad maybe in their sophomore or junior year where they have some flexibility in terms of their major and those general education requirements to make that well-rounded schedule. And if a semester isn't in the cards, no worries. I would consider a winter or a summer term. Winter students can earn about 3 credits. Summer could be 3 to 9 credits, depending on the program. And of course, have a conversation, no matter what your major is, to with your academic advisor to determine where you may have some flexibility in your degree. So I keep talking about how that you are able to make degree progress and earn academic credit, and this is how it happens. So no matter which program a student chooses, they can indeed earn academic credits, except if they're taking, for instance, at Florence University Arts, there's a wine tasting course. That's an example where we can't permit students to earn academic credit. But other than that, most of our programs can provide academic credit. So we have a database which we always recommend students start at, and it shows courses students took in the past and how they transfer or come back to Stony Brook and what their equivalent is. So all students just have to do is, for instance, type in the school in which you're interested in, and it's going to show the courses and the credit that they would receive at Stony Brook. And then if there's a course, for instance, that students want to take, but it's not in the database, that's okay. It likely just means that it hasn't been taken before. So students would just have to complete the course evaluation form, get the syllabus evaluated by their respective academic department, and they'll ultimately be able to confirm if they can receive the specific credit a student is interested in. So, for example, if a student is a business major and they want to take an entrepreneurship course at the University of Leeds and it's not in the database, they just have to obtain the syllabus. A lot of them are posted online, and they just have to get it evaluated by the business department, who can ultimately confirm if they're eligible to receive business courses for the program. And in many cases, students are getting these courses evaluated and receiving the credit that they were hoping to. And in terms of GPA, grades that a student earn on a partner university program do not calculate towards their Stony Brook University GPA, but grades earned on a faculty-led program, because those are the types of programs in which students are taking a course at the Stony Brook University course taught by a Stony Brook faculty member, those grades do calculate towards the Stony Brook University GPA. So another common misperception that we get from students is that studying abroad is not affordable, and it's so much more affordable than students may think. We, as an office, give away about $100,000 in scholarships every year, if not more. We weekly give away $500 for students to apply towards our study abroad program. Give us a follow if you're not doing so already. It's at SBU Study Abroad. We post on our Instagram, usually on Wednesdays. We'll post a trivia question, and should you answer it correctly, you'll be entered into a raffle to receive upwards of $500. There's also nationally competitive scholarships, such as the Gilman Award. This is a prestigious award. It is facilitated by the U.S. Department of State, and students can receive upwards of $5,000. And in some instances, students can actually apply for additional awards that they can receive $1,000 for critical need languages and STEM supplemental essays, for instance, too. So if a student is studying abroad in a country in which it's deemed as critical need by the U.S. Department of State, that's how they're eligible to apply for something like that as well. But we have resources for students to apply for the Gilman. There's the External Scholarships and Fellowships Office that help advise on the Gilman, as well as the Writing Center that can help students with their essay review. There's also host university financial opportunities. So this is an instance where students, a scholarship is being presented by the school in which they're studying abroad at. So University of Tübingen, for instance, or Christianstad University in Sweden. They've given us scholarships for our students to apply to. And what I always tell students is sometimes these scholarships don't get applicants. And unfortunately, that means that the funding gets wasted. So it's just such a good reminder. Be sure to check out our funding tab. Be sure to apply for these scholarships. The funding exists, but it is up to the student to, of course, apply. And there's also opportunities for students to apply their financial aid towards these programs. So in many cases, students can. And something that's not mentioned here is those exchange programs that I mentioned previously, American University in Cairo, University College London, etc. They are exchange programs. So that means that students are studying there for the semester, and they're paying the same exact tuition and fees that they're paying to study here at Stony Brook. So it's very comparable because you're already paying that, or you will already be paying that to study at Stony Brook. You might as well go to England or South Korea or wherever you have interest in for the semester because it's so comparable. In some cases, it's actually more affordable. And the reason for that being is in some countries, as you can imagine, it may be more affordable to study there than it may be in the United States because of the cost of living and the so the housing and the food, for instance, may be a little bit more affordable. So sometimes we have students who go to Korea who actually save money. And here's just that cost comparison, as I was mentioning before, in regards to exchange programs. The black bar, we have to update this cost comparison, but the black bar indicates how much it may cost to study at Stony Brook for the semester. And then below are some of the partner university schools that we have and how much it may cost to study there for the semester. So I always recommend check out our website, stonybrook.edu/study abroad. You're able to browse our programs and you can filter by region, by term. Maybe you're only interested in a faculty program, you can search for just those. And once you land on a program's page, you're able to see so much information, whether it be the budget, the program dates, the course offerings, and so much more. You're able to see that on each program's page. So this is something you can even do tonight if it's something that you're interested in learning more about. And then once you hone in a program that you're interested in, there of course is an application process that's outlined here. It's fairly brief. I would say it takes about an hour or so sitting. Of course, students have to confirm if they meet the program's eligibility requirements. That includes the GPA that varies. Usually it's a 2.0 or above for faculty-led and a 3.0 or above for partner university programs. But the exact GPA requirement is indicated on each respective program page because that does vary. We also ask for a 300-word statement of purpose, and that's the applicant's opportunity to indicate why did they choose their program? Will it help them make degree progress, or is it for personal reasons? Things like that. We want to make sure the program's a good fit for you. an official transcript, a student code of conduct form, basically just confirming if a student has any past or present sanctions on their judiciary record, scanned copy of passport, of course. Be sure if you're interested in studying abroad, make sure you have a valid passport, and one academic reference. So I spoke about the language reference prior, but all of our applications require a language or an academic reference rather. It can be from a professor, a graduate level teaching assistant, or an academic advisor. And depending on if you are applying as a first year student, we may be able to make an exception and take a high school reference, but it really just depends when you're applying and where you're applying to. So all these items are highlighted on the Study Abroad website. And so you can always refer to them, even if the application cycle isn't available, it could give you a head start. And then most of our programs that are occurring in the winter and spring have a deadline of October 1st. And then most of our programs that occur in the summer and fall have a program deadline of March 1st of that respective year. This does also vary. So again, be sure to check the deadline listed on each respective program's page because some of these deadlines actually may occur sooner than that. So, and then of course, how to apply once you find a program, you just click the apply button on that respective program's page and you're able to submit an application in our Study Abroad portal. So now I'm briefly going to dive into National Student Exchange. So we have partnerships in almost every state of the United States, and we have partnerships with about 175 colleges and universities. Students can receive a general education requirement that we call EXC Plus by just going on this National Student Exchange program. And then students can then take courses for their major, minor, or SBCs abroad as well, or an NSE as well. Most of the NSE programs occur during the fall and or spring semesters, and there are very little opportunities for students to do NSE in the summer. And it's such a great opportunity for students to learn about different cultures, because as you can imagine, living in New York or studying in New York can be very different than studying in Arkansas. So it's really cool to be able to learn all the different cultures of the different states. And of course, take different courses that you may not be able to take here at Stony Brook. Although we may have had a cold winter, we're not offering mountain climbing or ice climbing courses. So that's something that you may be interested in taking should you study in Alaska or wherever it may be. And tuition varies, and that's something that we can dive into if you are interested in NSE, but students may pay Stony Brook University tuition or they may pay the tuition of the school in which you're studying. And in some cases, it's cheaper to study in Arkansas versus New York, for instance. So you may be actually paying a cheaper rate to participate in NSE. And it's again also a great opportunity to study at different types of colleges, like a historically Black college and university, Asian American, Pacific Islander universities, etc. And then here's the NSE website. So it's nsc.org. You plug in Stony Brook University, and then you're able to see the various different courses, programs in which we have partnerships with. As you can tell, we have a lot. This is just half of the page. We have 3 in Alaska, 1 in Arizona. We have Hawaii, of course, tons in California, and many opportunities. And then once you click on a program's page, similar to the Study Abroad website, you're able to see various information. So academics, what type of pay are you paying? Is it host pay or home pay? What is the room and meal situation like? Do you get a meal plan? Things like that. You're able to actually find out online. And then in terms of eligibility and the application, so it's a 2.5 or above GPA requirements. And once a student clicks the apply now button, they're just asked to submit a brief 10 to 15-minute application in which they're providing biographical information, a personal statement, and they're ranking their top 5 NSE programs. And again, similarly to study abroad, the deadlines do vary, but typically for fall, it's February 14th, and typically for spring, it of course depends on the program. And again, similar to studying abroad, the grades earned on NSE programs do not calculate towards a Stony Brook University GPA. So that's similar to study abroad on a partner university program. But again, for faculty-led programs, the grades do calculate into a GPA here at Stony Brook. And then it's a similar process for getting courses evaluated. We don't have a database, so what students would do is obtain the syllabi for the courses they want to take on NSE and get them evaluated by the respective academic department here at Stony Brook. And then just some final points regarding NSC and studying abroad. So it's important, of course, to build an academic and financial plan early because it gives students more flexibility. What we mean by that is if you know that you want to take an entrepreneurship course as part of your major, and you know that the University of Manchester offers that course, and of course, upon advisement by your academic advisor, you may refrain from taking that course here at Stony Brook, and you might hold off on taking it until you study abroad. So that's something just to keep in mind in terms of planning your academics. And then for finances, be mindful of scholarship deadlines because you don't want the deadline to come and go and then you don't have the ability to apply for that scholarship. And then meet with your academic advisors because they're able to help you determine what degree requirements you have left in order to graduate. And that'll really help you when you're choosing if you want to, what program that you would like to participate in. And then lastly, studying away transform students. They become more confident and, they're able to pursue their career goals. Students meet lifelong friends. They make networking connections and they learn so much about themselves as a result of participating in these programs. So we really hope that you consider participating and we're always here as a resource to you should you have any questions. And there's going to be a contact slide I'm going to show momentarily. And here's just some pictures of our students who studied abroad in places such as Italy, Spain, Korea, etc. So this could be you.
Yeah, so I think in that sense.
And I mentioned the opportunity for students to win upwards of $500. Here's just another opportunity. Just be sure to follow us on Instagram. It's at SBU Study Abroad. And although you haven't started your time here yet at Stony Brook, you still are eligible to participate in those trivia raffle questions. And here's our contact page. So if you have any questions, you can email our general email. Or if there's a particular program that you're interested in, you're able to visit the resources and contact page on that program's page. And you're able to contact the IAP coordinator directly for any questions that you might have. Something that's also not on here, but it is on our contact page on our website, is we have group advising appointments. So if you have any other questions and you haven't submitted an application yet, you still are able to attend a group advising appointment, and we're happy to help you sort any of that out. And that concludes our presentation. And again, I really hope that you consider studying away. It truly is once in a lifetime opportunity. I promise you that once you graduate and you start your career job, it may be a lot more difficult for you to travel. And this is just such a great opportunity for you to do so. And yeah, we really hope that you consider it. Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for that presentation. We really appreciate all that information. I know we have a couple people who are in attendance, so if you all do have some questions now and want to take advantage of that Q&A feature, feel free. At this point, we are done with the session, so you are good to go if you don't have any questions. But if you do want to ask some questions, feel free to raise a hand or drop a Q&A question, and we can get you some direct information from our study abroad partners. I'll keep that open for another 30 seconds here. If there are no questions, we will let our friends get back to all the hard work they're doing to support these programs. But if you do have any questions, like they mentioned, you know where to contact them if you do want to follow up. So again, I'll give it another couple seconds here if anyone is just trying to type something in. Otherwise, have a great rest of your summers as you prepare to arrive at Stony Brook. Additionally, these will be recorded on the Orientation and Transition Programs YouTube channel at Stony Brook. So if you want to watch any of this back or have any questions and you don't want to have to send an email, feel free to rewatch these videos as well. But since it doesn't look like any questions are coming through, I will say thank you so much once again, Margaret and Emily. Have a great rest of your day and hope everyone to see you soon.
Thanks so much.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.